Hello and welcome to video number 6 of Embolden's video tutorial project. In this video, we're going to be talking about your special navigation, meaning your manage site and admin sections of the website, which we can see right over here. These are sections of the site that you can only see when you are logged in, and especially when you are logged in as an administrator. So if you have a staff or board intranet or other things like that, maybe you have a portal for communicating with agency partners or something, they would not necessarily see manage site and admin unless they were given the appropriate level of permissions. Certainly any user coming to the website would never see these things down here. If you notice on our demo site, these links are showing up in black text on the white background. Quite often what happens is this is just part of the main navigation where it says manage site, admin, and host. So it's part of this navigation that's above it. And once you're logged in, all of a sudden there's too many things to fit in the width of the main navigation. So this is designed to be a certain width. You already have how to give, donors, professional advisors, grants, scholarships, initiatives and impact, and about us. Now all of a sudden we have 3 more things over here, but just like regular text, it wraps around down here. The reason I'm pointing that out is on many sites, you have white text for your text in your navigation, and it's on a white background. So oftentimes when people are first starting to use the system, they say, I can't find manage site or admin. It's literally right there, but you just can't see it because it's white text on a white background. So if you run your mouse across, you will usually get what is called the down state, where, you know, we can see the down state for this is the background of the navigation turns green, or maybe the text turns a different color, depends on how your specific site is designed. That being said, there's 3 things here of manage site, admin, and host. Host means you are the web hosting account, which if you are an Embolden client, you would never be logging in as because that is us. So you should never see this host option over here. I happen to be logged in as the web host account, so I'm seeing it. Under admin, admin is going to have different functions in it depending on how your site is set up. If you are an Embolden client, you will generally only have 2 things under admin. One option will be either called pages or tabs, depending on how old your site is and when it was set up. And the other option is the recycle bin. Manage site is something Embolden builds for its clients. So if you are an Embolden client, you almost definitely have something in here called Manage Site, which we'll go to in just a second. If you are not an Embolden client, if you are just somebody that has a DNN site that's using these videos to learn a little more about DNN, first of all, welcome, and feel free to learn as much as you can. That's what we're here for. But do not be surprised that you don't have a Manage Site section, because that's not actually built into DNN. That's something Embolden just happens to build into all of our sites. So let's go to Manage Site, and we can see there's a few different things under here. Design standards, which we'll visit in a second, that we'll see that. Special items and modules you can usually ignore. That's just there more for our purposes to know what to train people on, what modules are installed on this site, that sort of thing. And then these other manage things, manage articles, manage donations, manage funds, manage scholarships. These are all related to very specific, more advanced modules that we will have separate videos going over in the future. And same thing with friendly redirects. That's a module that Embolden has built, and we'll have a separate video on that. So the design standards page for most of you is the main thing you're going to be looking at, unless you have some of these more advanced modules. The design standards page is very similar to what you would get if you worked with a print designer and maybe they make a brochure or an annual report or something for you, but they also hand you a document that says, here's the colors you want to use, here's the fonts you want to use, some standards so that moving forward you have a more consistent visual identity when you're creating things. That's kind of what's happening here. This is showing you all of the different elements you have available to you. So here's what your main header looks like. Here's what a header 2, header 3, header 4 look like. You have this large text style, and we'll see what that actual class is called in just a moment. Here's kind of the recommended image size, and here's how you create an image with a caption, and here's what it should look like. Here's a call out or pull quote style. So it's showing you the tools you have available to you. And there's a few ways you're going to use this page. If you notice, there's nothing in here about typeface. And down at the bottom, there is some stuff about color, but you don't really need to know that. So you don't need to know when you're editing your site what shade of brown this is, or brownish green. You don't need to know what shade of reddish brown this is. You don't need to know what type size this is, or what the spacing between the lines is, or anything like that. All you need to know is, I want to make this a header, and it's going to automatically look like this. I want to make this a subhead, and it's going to automatically look like this. I want to make this a large text thing, and we'll go over in a future video how to designate a paragraph as large text, but it will automatically look like this. So in part, this is helping you know what tools you have. There's also some really useful information if we scroll down, where we can see the different CSS classes. So these are different styles you have available to you. So if something is a custom style rather than just a header 1 or a header 2 or a bulleted list, if it's an actual custom thing that we've created, it will be listed in here, and it will have a little description after it that kind of reminds you where you want to use them. In general, these are what are called classes, CSS classes, and we try to name the classes something that makes sense. And we'll go over how these are all used when we talk about the editing interface. But should you ever forget, where large text is used or what it looks like, you can always come back here and look. Same thing with image sizes. So we have some specific dimensions of here's what the recommended image sizes were from the designers when they initially created the designs that all of these templates are built on. And oftentimes the sizes are really specific, but they're meant to be more general. So if it says images in the landing page should not exceed 692 pixels in width, that means from here to here is 692. So the entire width of this thing is that size. If it says the recommended image size is 692 by 248, again, you want it to fill out the entire thing, so you want it to be there, 692 pixels wide. But if it's 250 or 240 or 230 or 260 pixels high, if this number isn't exactly 248, that's generally fine. But so on the design standards page, you'll find your image sizes. In this specific case, there's so many different sizes for these designs that we broke them out like this. Oftentimes, you'll just find it kind of in the first paragraph. It'll say, here's the recommended image sizes for this type of content. And then finally, for this specific client, and we do this for some clients, especially if we came up with the color scheme for the site rather than working off of a pre-existing brand, we put in their hexadecimal codes and their RGB values. So if you have a print designer who says, hey, I need to make some letterhead, and Embolden kind of de facto created your visual identity, I need those colors, then you have them available to you rather than having to ask us for them. And then there's some other stuff down here. These are just other modules, and again, we'll go over these using tabs and accordions and that sort of thing. But so the design standards page is a great place to refer back to see what tools you have available to you or how to do things. For example, if you want to make an image with a caption, which we will have a whole video just on putting images and captions in, but a sort of quick cheat way to do it is to come back to the design standards page and go into the editor and just copy this and paste it into your new page, and then edit the caption and change the image. So that's really what the design standards page is used for. Underneath here, as I said, we have the other options for other modules, managing articles, managing the donation module, managing funds module, setting up redirects, all that sort of thing, and we will have videos about all of those. Under admin, you will have 2 pages available to you if you're an Embolden client, and we're not going to go into too much detail right now, but you'll have this one that's the admin pages. Not to be confused with your regular sitemap. If you go to manage site pages, you get sort of a regular non-interactive sitemap. Admin pages is this box. It's a map of your site, and if you click on any page in here, you can edit the settings, you can view the page, you can delete the page, and you can move it around in the site structure. And we'll be talking about that more down the road. The other thing under admin, which hopefully you will never, ever, ever need, but you do have it just in case, is this recycle bin. So if you delete a page or you delete a module, you may be able to recover it from here. It's not foolproof, but it does make an okay backup. things don't necessarily stay in here forever, and all you have to go by is the titles of pages and modules. So if things are not named in a way that makes sense, we have all of these things that say examples, or if you have a ton of things that say put title here or just content manager, it's much harder to find what you're looking for. Hopefully you will never need your recycle bin, but you do have one just in case. So those are the things that are kind of under what we call the special navigation, the manage site and admin pages. And that concludes, over the last 6 videos, we've had kind of a very high level overview of DNN. And if you've gone through all of those, by now you're probably itching to get in and start editing. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next upcoming videos, is the editing interface, and then eventually adding pages to the site and working with all of the different modules. So thank you for tuning in so far, and we will see you in video 7 when we start talking about the editor.